Hey everybody, this is the Breezy Show. Welcome back. This is another episode. It's your boy, King Breezy, followed by his co-host, Kachada Breeze.
What's going on? This is a very awkward silence we just had, but so we got a whole bunch of topics for today. A lot of them are pretty topical, as in they literally happened today. Some of them happened like 2 days ago. So yeah, we don't really have a whole lot of topics from like last week because I don't remember what happened last week. I honestly forgot that this week was the week we did the podcast. So.
Bro, I don't know, man. A lot's been happening this hurricane season. Like, for all we know, this episode might be postponed for like a month because of our internet going out or electricity tomorrow. We'll see.
I got home today because I worked this morning, and I was like, oh shit, we gotta record a podcast for this week. And I was like, I'm playing D&D tomorrow night. Let's see if we can just record a night. I'll come up with some topics. And then I really started looking. I was like, actually, quite a bit of stuff has happened today.
Mad stuff has happened where we should have had an episode, and if we didn't, it's like, well, by the time we did get around to it, it would have been old news. So,
all right. So our first topic would be our thoughts on the Japanese fighting game developer roundtable that happened. What, 2 days ago? 3 days ago? 2 or 3 days ago. They discussed a couple different topics to start off the show, followed by announcements, which was mainly announcements of future announcements, followed by some nice stuff which we'll get into later. But I want to get your thoughts on, I don't know if you watched all of it or just the Leo part.
I watched a third of it at the beginning, and then I came back and watched the last like 15 to 20 minutes of it,
because they actually
included the trailers.
They actually had some like decent topics that were like interesting to like listen to. They asked like 4 questions to all the developers, which the developers were there were Bandai Namco, Capcom, SNK, Dead or Alive's developers. I just forgot their name, like blanked on it, and then Fighting EX Slayer's developers. I think that was it.
The dev team was there though. That was really cool.
Which one?
Fighting EX Lair. I didn't expect them to be there. That was a fun surprise because normally whenever Evo was taking place, and if we're gonna be honest, this roundtable took place because there is no Evo.
There was no Evo yet, and that was very strongly hinted at. That's why they all got together for this.
Yeah, because as soon as Evo was canceled, Harada was
I guess
he took to Twitter and asked.
I guess from what Michael Murray was saying on the English stream, he said, "Oh yeah, it was my idea," and I kind of suggested to Harada like, "Hey, why don't we put something on?" And then Harada went, "Oh, why don't we invite everybody? We'll see if everyone wants to get together and do something." So, yeah, it was a nice thing to have. But there were actually some interesting topics that were discussed. I wish netcode was discussed. That's kind of the only thing.
The fact that Harada says the words rollback at least twice.
Honestly, dude, every time Harada tries to explain what kind of netcode Tekken has, I just end up getting more confused.
Actually, this time he explained it, and it was the first time I'm like, okay, I can follow you after all the talks of netcode have come up.
But they were talking at one point. They were talking about like user interface or like the user experience, I guess. Yeah, it was more user experience, not user interface. I don't know why that came to my mind, but the user experience when playing fighting games, and it seemed like they were more so talking about, oh, how do we get new players to play fighting games, not how do we keep our players playing our game. But eventually it got to this weird discussion about using AI to like make new players feel good about themselves, which was very strange. It was one of the Dead or Alive developers talking about how, oh yeah, why don't we have AI but make it so human-like that you think you're playing a human. So, and they like barely let you win. So you have that like, oh, that was a close one, but I was able to get it. I was finally able to do it. kind of feeling to, you know, that feel good feeling that you get. So that way, you know, they keep playing. And I was like, I mean, I get it. Like, you guys could probably do it pretty easily, because I feel like that's a thing that happens in other games. You know, we have plenty of FPS where they just throw in bots to like feed everybody, like Titanfall. Like, there are players running around the map, but there's also just like random bots that are running around. So it's like, and you can probably do it a little more secretive, I guess. The only issue is, like, I think you might have to let people know that you're doing that before someone finds out, and then you get like a PR shitstorm for it.
To me, I don't see it. Okay. To me, there is no way you can have a PR complete storm about it, because that's just gamer pride being hurt. You know? And also, to back it up, I think that would also emulate the consensus most people had, and I've seen on Twitter and YouTube for some reason. Like, everyone's YouTube thumbnail and reaction to it has been, this was so lame and boring. But I don't think the public understood what this was supposed to be about. This isn't
I think people...
This is about the FGC, but it isn't about you. This is about developers trying to get to you, not
I think
you specifically.
I think a lot of people were expecting it to be what the second half of the show was, which was announcements the entire time.
Yeah, no.
People weren't. I don't think people thought like the actual discussion about fighting games was gonna be taking place.
No.
So it was like, if you went in knowing that, like, if you watch like Max's video, he talks about how interesting some of the conversations were. But then you look at other people and they're like, yo, it was fucking boring. I didn't want to listen to them talk about this shit over and over again. It's like, well, clearly you have two sides that one knew what this event was going to be going into it. One thought it was just going to be announcements.
But the people who are being positive, like Max, he's industry. He's worked in this community before.
Yeah.
He's done professional work in the field that he loves. That's different than Joe Schmo, who's been in tournaments. The Joe Schmo was expecting a Nintendo Direct for fighting games, and I think that's the bad thing, is that us knowing about it in advance, everyone came in with Nintendo Direct like expectations, which was something you should not have had, and I didn't have.
See, and then,
which is why I'm not disappointed.
You know,
I'm actually happy about it.
Bringing that up, actually, I was watching Sajam's stream today, and he was talking about how people need to stop going into events like this with unattainable expectations. You know. And he referenced the latest Nintendo Direct that we covered in our last podcast, actually, about how people went in going, oh, a third-party Direct? I can't wait to see Mario and Zelda. It's like, what?
Don't you guys know what third-party means?
It's like, yo, like, if they're not going to be hinting at some of this stuff, then don't go in expecting it.
Yeah, if you hear a rumor or a leak on Twitter,
like, I saw people complaining, Nintendo, like, kind of tying into the announcements part real quick. People were complaining about, oh, you know, Capcom didn't really announce shit, but, you know, announced their announcement. No, they were reminding us about their announcement of the announcement that they announced like 3 days ago. Like 3 days before the stream, Capcom, or like it was the day before the roundtable got announced, I think. Capcom said, hey, by the way, we're gonna do this cool Street Fighter V, you know, announcement event. We're gonna show off some of the new characters. Yeah, you know, we'll see you guys there. And then the next day it was, oh, hey, it was from Bandai. Hey, we're doing this, you know, cool developer roundtable. Here are all the people gonna be there. Capcom's gonna be there. SNK is gonna be there. Hope you guys can come tune in. You know, we're gonna have some announcements. And everyone went, oh, well, Capcom's gonna show their stuff at the roundtable, of course. It's like, no, they just said that they're gonna announce their stuff at their own announcement.
The more we talk about stuff like this, the more I realize gamers are very hard-headed, and we demand as a community attention from developers, but then we prove that we could drop the ball very frequently, and not when we get feedback from a developer after they listen to our feedback, we don't interpret that well, or we don't take it well. You know, it's almost like a kid talking about I'm an adult, and then you tell them the tooth fairy's not real, and they start crying and saying like, why would you tell me that?
Yeah, and I'm not gonna lie, I went in kind of with not expectations, but with hopes that weren't met. I was hoping for some King of Fighters news. As
Yeah.
you know, I went in. You know, I've been getting kind of into King of Fighters lately. I was like, oh, I got really excited. I was like, oh, SNK's gonna be there. Maybe there's gonna be some KOF 15 news.
Their defense, out of all the games people could have had an expectation for, that one made the most sense. Besides Arxis with Guilty Gear Strive, I don't think anyone could have been blamed for.
And it wasn't like
of a
it
Guilty
was
Gear trailer or Tekken or King of Fighters. I expected those three things to maybe at least have a poster or a quick little like GIF to put on screen.
See, I didn't even need that. Like, I just want to go, hey, yeah, you know, development's going pretty good. Like there was a moment where they were talking about King of Fighters without mentioning the name King of Fighters. They were like, yeah, you know, that game upstairs, you know, and it's like, yo, just say, oh yeah, KOF 15, you know, we're working on development, you know, and then later they're like, yeah, unfortunately we don't have anything to show about it or anything to say about it right now. It's like, can you just let me know like something? Like, I don't need a release day. I don't need a time frame to say like a basic thing that would be like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. You know, hey guys, this is gonna be on PlayStation. It's like, oh, cool, yeah, woo, clap it up.
Like it only hurts for me because we literally only had a black screen saying King of Fighters 15 is a thing that exists,
like in development.
It is in development, so I'm not expecting a trailer. I was legit just like you were saying, okay, yes, like we did get an okay, it exists and it's still existing. It hasn't gone into like development hell.
If you could have gave me like a drawing of Kyo, I would have been happy.
Yeah, like concept art. Like at this point, concept art would have been cool too.
Like I think that's one thing I want developers to do more is share concept art.
Mm-hmm.
Like not like post-release.
So you don't want it to, you don't want it to be like a post-release. Here's a collector's edition.
Here's a collector's edition with some art. Like I want to say, hey, you know, obviously we're still in early development, but here's some concept art. We kind of just want to get your feelings on it real quick, so we know what you guys like and see if it matches up with what we like and are planning on going with. Because if they don't match up at all,
yeah, I don't know, because like I don't think that's an example of. You can't make everyone happy, and every time I've seen something like that happen, we've gotten a Guilty Gear situation where people are like, I don't. So far, some of the Guilty Gear like backlash has cooled off with the designs that's been on the gameplay now. But originally, there were a lot of folks like, I don't like the way this character looks. I don't like the way
Kai with the short hair. Why does he get a haircut?
Yeah, I like long-haired Kai, and I'm like, wait a minute. If you've played a Guilty Gear game besides XR, you knew that Kai's hair got longer in XR, so you know it's the same thing of Persona 5 player. You know, what's SMT? It's like, okay, guys.
What? I love Atlas games. Okay, you know, what's your favorite SMT game? What's SMT?
It's like, oh man, I love Guilty Gear's music. Oh, which one do you which XX soundtrack do you prefer? The Korean or the international or the American version? It's like,
what's XX?
What's XX? I'm like,
what do you mean there's two different soundtracks?
The good one. I'm like, oh,
what?
Okay. We're just gonna have to change the subject to something else or just agree to disagree or something, because that's the losing battle. So to just surmise that, I feel like going forward, I think the future roundtables is a good thing. Whether we get exactly what the consumer wants out of the roundtables is one aspect of it, but the fact that these devs, or at least mentioning things that we've talked about and we thought they never listened to us on Twitter about or YouTube videos, but they have said the words. I think
the issue I really had with the discussion part were.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that they said beforehand, like, oh, yeah, you know, we went through these questions and we wanted to make sure everyone was happy with them. They weren't trying to hit Capcom with a hard question, like, why is your netcode shit? Like, they weren't trying to do something like that. So they were, the issue was all of them were, like, real softball questions. And then there was like, the one weird one that was like, oh, what are your thoughts on arcade sticks? For like controllers, right? And they're like, and they kind of had the discussion of like, oh, you know, are we supposed to be catered to pad? Are we supposed to cater to fight stick? Do you need a fight stick now? And it was like, in the moment, it was kind of like, why are we having this discussion? Like, why does... Like, I can see maybe why for you guys it would matter, but for us, like, people are going to buy a fight stick either way. People are going to play on pad either way. People are going to play on Hitbox, Mixbox, whatever you want to, you know, have.
Now, to answer it from a developer side, I do think they should, in future like plans, just assume the person's playing on pad because that is the default controller for the console.
Yeah, and they were saying like, oh, you know, while we play on stick, we're all stick people. You know, we grew up in the arcades, is what they were saying. You know, we thought, oh, no one's ever gonna be able to do some of these like crazy execution heavy combos on a controller. And then you go to Evo and you see Sonic Fox do this heavy execution combo on controller. and you walk around, you see more and more pad players, and they're like, you know, it's kind of weird us growing up in the arcades going, oh, no one could ever do this on a controller, and now seeing people doing it on a controller. So it was like, okay, I can understand you guys having this discussion by yourselves, but like I don't feel the need to be like listening to this.
No, I think the round table, yes, it's nice that we got to watch it, but to me this is more so what the conversation would have been happening if Evo happened, right? And all these devs got to fly out and they went on stage for their announcements, which were at the end of the grand finals, and you see the Tekken Season 4 and the Guilty Gear Strive trailer, right? That's for us. But everything before that, I think that's just what happens in booths or behind closed doors during the EVO tournament, where these developers are able to get a moment to themselves to just commune and see what they're... Because these are colleagues. I'm pretty sure a lot of these people have good relationships with each other in and outside of working on video games, you know?
And I think it's a good idea to have these streamed conversations with the developers, because, you know, it makes for... Especially with Japanese fighting game developers... It feels like we're actually being listened to for once.
Yeah, yep.
So which feels nice. The issue is I want it to be more non-softball questions, to where it's conversations where I don't really feel like I'm not wondering this. Like, yeah, you know, how do you choose a characters for the roster? Okay, yeah, you know, I might go, I wonder how they choose that, but like I don't need to know, like. And like some of the answers were, oh, you know, we just picked, you know, the good ones. It was like, what? And they had a conversation of like SNK. They said, oh yeah, you know, for Samurai Showdown we were building our roster, and then once we were done for like, you know, the original roster for the base game, for the new game, they were like, we turned around and realized like we just had a whole bunch of old dudes. Like we didn't have any like girls on the roster. So they're like, you know, some of the guys we had and like some of the people we had in like the roster when the game was first coming out, we pushed to be DLC characters because we needed to like replace them real quick with girls, so it wasn't just a whole bunch of dudes in the roster. And I was like, I mean, I get it. Like, you gotta satisfy, you know, the weebs. And
yeah, that's the weeb community honestly is bleeding into the FGC, and it's kind of carrying it. Like when you look at the DLC packages we get, that's like a whole nother conversation in general about how DLC progresses and whatnot. But
going to the announcements part of the show,
yeah,
which was the latter half, was as a whole a letdown, I guess. Obviously, we knew going into it, we knew Capcom probably wasn't going to show anything. A part of me still hoped, like, oh, maybe they said, oh, we'll show like one character, and then we'll show, you know, another or the others at our show. That way, you know, we can give these guys something, you know, just for the fun of it, you know. Didn't happen, obviously. But you know, there was a little bit of hope there. And then it went to SNK, and they were like, oh, you know, we don't have any news on KOF, and we already announced our Sam Show shit, like, yesterday. So The day before they announced the new
I felt
Samurai
so
Showdown
confused
character.
when I saw the new Sam Show character trailer drop. I was like, is this supposed to be out already?
I
'Cause
wonder.
the round table
I don't
hasn't
know.
happened yet.
I don't know if it got leaked or something, and that they just released it early. I don't know.
It didn't seem leaked to me. It just blatantly seemed like they intentionally released the trailer for this character.
So like
day before the
SNK's
round
announcement
table.
was, oh hey, by the way, we have a character trailer that came out yesterday.
I'm like, you couldn't have waited for the character trailer to drop as the round table was happening. So,
Dead or Alive just talked about how they have their like free to play model still. Fighting Age Slayer actually, talked about how they're working on rollback netcode for their game, so which is cool. That would be fun. That is the only time rollback netcode I think got talked about besides Harada talking in circles about rollback netcode. Then I went to Soul Calibur, which they introduced a new character. I already forgot her name, but I don't play Soul Calibur, so I don't really give a fuck.
I don't know. It's one of those. It's a story-driven character though, so you know quite a bit of the lore of Soul Calibur. You're familiar with her, so that's good.
And then I went to Tekken, which I was expecting a little more from Tekken. I'm not gonna lie. They announced season 4. Everyone's getting new moves. They said something about network updates, which I don't know if that means they're updating their netcode, or if we're just getting the fucking Wi-Fi indicator that they showed in the trailer.
To me, I hope it's more than just the Wi-Fi indicator, but
because if it's just the Wi-Fi indicator, I'm gonna be kind of pissed. And then it went to our Lord and Savior Arc System Works, where they showed off 2 characters for Guilty Gear Strive. They announced the return of the king, the second king, I should say, because Kai's technically the first, Leo Whitefang. Malik's main is back.
My main for Guilty Gear XR, since Sign all the way to Rev 2, I never in a million years thought Leo Whitefang would come back to the roster, simply because we had a character poll. We had multiple character polls actually on how the community would like to see the roster flush out, and he is literally not on anyone's wish list to come back. Not a single press release poll by the community has Leo's name on it. Everyone hated that character. He was a character because he's not a waifu, and he's not someone like Johnny, who's just well known for his design and a legacy character. I never in a million years would have thought he'd come back, even as a DLC. So color be surprised. Dustin actually had to tell me to look at the broadcast because I missed that part of it.
Yeah, I immediately called Malik after the next character was shown. So after Leo's trailer, it hit you with the next character in 10, 9, 8. And once it hit 8, I was like, oh shit, wait a minute. I was like, that's a countdown. What the fuck? And then they showed the new character that they I guess revealed at last year's Evo, I guess we could say. But they actually showed gameplay of him instead of just what probably is his like intro, like his round start intro, I guess.
Yeah.
His name is Nagoriyuki or Nagoriyuki.
I'm gonna just call him Yuki. I'm gonna just stick with Yuki, bro. Until I get the English dub for the Guilty Gear Strive story mode, if that happens, I'll just stick with Yuki.
Which he looks like a fucking Sam Show character, actually. Like, dude, honestly, is fucking ripped.
Oh my goodness.
Dude is huge.
So word on the street is he's also a vampire, which is why his sword turns red, and he's got the whole blood mechanic, blood splatter coming off of people he's biting or like headbutting. So however that deals into the mechanics, we'll see. Dog does look crazy. His theme song is amazing. Still love his character design.
Leo's theme might be the best theme in Strive so far.
See, if we did a Guilty Gear Strive music tier list, I would say Leo's theme from
Leo's
XR,
theme is S tier.
It was
no, in this one.
No, XR theme I would have put like B tier. It's like a middle of the road theme. It's not good, it's not bad, it's not good, it's not great. It's okay. It's a decently good song to put in the background of a fighting game. His new song, that's probably going to be an S tier. And you have to imagine how great the song has to be if we're only getting snippets of the background of these trailers. It's not the entire release, right?
Yeah.
And we still appreciate the song. You know they're going to sound amazing when you have the full uncompressed version of the music, you know?
It'll be interesting. I'm waiting for it to drop, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I can't
Also,
wait.
I think Yuki's character was redone almost, and that's why he took so long to be shown off. Mainly because if we look back at the reveal from a year ago at Evo, his character, his idol, when he started the round, had both of his swords out. He was clearly going to be a dual wielder of some
Oh,
sorts.
do you think they just
But
changed him to be
yeah,
like a heavy, like samurai almost?
Almost. I almost want to say because Leo's here. Well, he's the swashbuckler, like dual wielding guy.
Oh, so you
We
think
were
they
gonna have a
went?
dual
Oh,
wielding
let's
style.
bring. So you think they said, oh, let's bring Leo back
Yeah, that's why
and
I was leaning
convert
towards
Yuki
Yuki into a heavy hitting.
Oh.
Because I'm serious. If you really look back, right, and if we take the whole roster minus Leo up to that point, every archetype except for like the Unga Bunga get in guy mix up, right?
So you think originally Yuki was gonna be the Unga Bunga guy?
Yeah, I think.
And then they said,
Yuki
"Oh
and
wait, let's
Leo-
just bring." I wonder if they went, "Oh, I don't really think this really fits his character model." Like
'cause he's a big dude.
he's a big dude. Like
Yeah, you tend to not see guys that big be a multiple hitting left-right mix-up kind of character. So I really do think
yeah.
this could be just me tinfoil hatting, but I do believe without Leo being in this roster, it makes sense that then also Leo, who was the newcomer for the Sign XR series, right? He was the swashbuckler. He was the mixed Unga Bunga.
That's a
If
good
you
point.
remove Leo and you go into a new direction and strive, what's the best thing you could do? Okay, Leo demonstrated the new things they wanted to explore and strive along with like Raven and Coom. So the new character Yuki is going to be the example of what we want Strive to be. So he was going to be a dual wielder, but then we're like, nah, we already have a character that can fit that role. Let's just bring Leo back. All right, so we're gonna hold off on Yuki's move list, and we're just gonna implement Leo for the trailer, and then we're gonna rework Yuki. So that's why we don't see Yuki for a whole year. That's my guess. I think if you had Yuki's assets done,
See,
and he was going to be the aggressive person, you would have shown his trailer off before a whole year of not hearing anything about him.
While I actually do agree that I think they probably did rework him, I think you make a very valid point with that. I think it was actually planned from to show him off a year later, because I think it was, oh, we're gonna reveal him at Evo, and then we're gonna show him off at Evo again.
Okay,
I think it was for the pop, and I think that's why they showed Leo in August too, because bro, could you imagine? Half the arena would have been fucking split on Leo.
We've already established, right? Some people were gonna be pissed, and I was going to be.
I remember going
on
on Twitter, right, and I just see Sajam tweet out, "No,"
I only saw,
and then go, but his jacket
Twitter,
looks cool though.
I've literally not seen a single person bash Leo, but I know they're out there. I've only seen all the positive people who I'm pretty sure haven't played XR, because if you have played XR and you aren't a Leo main, you would.
I've seen all the Leo mains, so like Max and Jayuna go like, "Fuck yeah,
baby!"
And then I've seen like people go like, "Oh, he kind of looks cool," and I'm like, "You're the ones that didn't like this." You're like, "Damn it, he's in the game, but damn, does he look cool?"
I can't hate the fact that he's got new drip, but I don't want him here.
Oh, he's got a command grab now? Fuck.
I'm telling you, that fireball is gone, but if that command grab is good enough, it'll work out. I'm gonna miss the sonic boom though. I'll make it work. But now I have two mains confirmed, because I'm definitely playing Yuki and I'm absolutely playing Leo again.
Man, right now I got Kai and I hate it.
Why not? You're a king, bro.
Nah, man, I want my boy Sim back.
See, again, I would have thought in a million years Sin would be the guy.
I think with the way they're trying to like build Strive, I feel like Sin is like the perfect character for that.
Yeah, Sin makes perfect sense. Like, he's very his mechanics easily transfer over from XR to Strive. It's so smooth of a transition. It's like it's not even an
weird.
Issue.
Like
I think
it fits so well.
No.
And it's like how
that doesn't come back.
Bro, if he doesn't come back, I'm like, but he's the character that fits this like new system you're trying to make. Probably the most perfect out of everyone from XR.
Like, Sin combo could easily be just, here's 4 hits into a knockdown, but
here's
really
like
good
4
OP.
hits into the forward quarter circle, you know.
Yeah, here's the
poke
mechanic back again.
Like, it works. Like, Honestly, I can do without the fucking hungry meter. I'm not gonna lie, but
Since it's Strive, they'll probably make the hunger meter like twice as big this time around, so that way you get like 8 special moves before you gotta eat. Shoot, the way the damage is in the beta, you wouldn't even need to eat again.
Yeah.
You just have to hit all your moves and they're dead. Like fully charged special moves from Sin and Strive from the beta's damage scaling, it could have been like, okay, you just do 2 thrusts with his flagpole and you're at the wall. You were mid-stage, now you're at the wall. The third one will wall splat. And now there are literally any like 5p or 5k from death. It doesn't matter. Go nuts.
So transitioning to as we were talking earlier, Capcom is having their own show for Street Fighter, which is this Wednesday. So in 2 days for us right now.
Yep.
I think it's at like noon or 1 our time, by the way. If you want to get in Discord for that. I want to see if you have any predictions. They've already said that some characters will be shown off. Characters with an S. So as AJM said, if they don't hint at it, don't expect it. It seems like they are hinting at showing more than one character. And I believe they said it was 5 already. I believe, if I remember correctly, it's 5 characters. Or at least that's what everyone is saying.
Yeah, I'm not gonna attest to the number because up till now, I haven't seen anything personally about.
I don't remember. I thought I remember saying a number, and 5 makes sense.
Like 5 has been the default for most of these events, unless the season was specific.
Because they've been using 5 like, oh, it's the 5th year of Street Fighter 5. It's the 5th season. We're gonna have 5 characters. I feel like that was the announcement, if I remember right. So that's kind of the number I've been going with when thinking about this. But do you have any characters you think should be, or I guess will be, added to Street Fighter 5 for its final season?
As much as I don't want it to be anywhere from Third Strike, I do think it will be at least half of them will be Third Strike characters.
Do you think any of them will be like a new character you think will be added?
At this point, we've already gotten. It's interesting, right? Because Street Fighter 5 is that when you look at the whole roster, like you reflect everything. There's a lot of yes, you were already in the canon, but you really weren't playable, or you were playable, but we've almost reworked you entirely. You know.
Yeah.
So I expect if someone comes back, it'll be someone like Makoto, but it'll be okay. Makoto hasn't perfected her martial art yet, so Makoto's gonna play differently. Or if it's somebody, I don't know, like an alpha character in the background that we do, like, or you get to play as one of the dolls. It'll be the doll has now adapted her style. Yes, she used to fight like Cammy because all the dolls learned to fight from Vega, supposedly in the lore. But now this doll is branching out. So there's some normals that are like Cammy or special blue cancels, but then the rest of it is all like brand new.
Isn't Falk a doll?
No. Falk is flipping Gil's assistant from Third Strike.
No, that's Colleen.
No, that's Colleen. Dang it, I'm getting it. No, Falk's flipping Ed's friend or whatever. Is she a doll? I don't remember that part.
I thought she was.
Yeah, I've completely missed that that's the case. I just knew that Ed was defecting from Shadowloo, and Ed has his own clique of people that are all like rejects or whatever, just like himself.
Formerly with Shadowloo. Sure.
Just get up out my way! I don't know. I'll give it to Ed. His theme song's pretty lit. I like
it. Not people aren't gonna like that one.
I'll say it every time. I like his theme.
So
it's a guilty pleasure.
She was a one of the clones.
Okay, clone. So Ed's a clone. She's a clone. Was it one of the clones designed to be Seth's body or Bison's body after he died?
Yeah.
Okay. Yo, Bison was the first cross-dresser, but he does it with bodies, bro. My man is transitioning left and right.
So once they killed Bison, her and Ed went and formed their own shit.
Okay. Could you just imagine Bison's ghost, like, ah, shoot, Ryu killed me with the path of nothingness. Well, time for me to my psychokinesis power self into one of my bodies, and he just goes. It's like kids in a candy shop or like ice cream store. It's like, well, we got the vanilla, the chocolate, the strawberry, mint chip. Which body am I feeling this time, boys? I don't know. And then he's like, you know what? I'll go with the Seth body. I'll go with the robot body this time around. And then Seth's body's missing because he went off to do his own thing. It's like, wait a minute, that's supposed to be there. What's going on here? That lore makes no sense. Like,
so what characters do you think? Like,
at this point, I'm expecting. I know I wrote it down somewhere, but I can't recall. But off the top of the head, Sea Viper, Crimson Viper, Oro, Makoto, probably Sean because it just makes sense. It makes too much sense, so it won't happen. And then Makoto.
you said Makoto twice.
I said Makoto twice. Well, Makoto's gonna be in here too. It's gonna be Makoto disguised as a man, and Makoto and her Agi from Third Strike. But she.
Yo, I was so. I spend a lot of time on Twitter, everybody.
Yeah. I know you don't tell me twice. Like.
I saw it was a meme where it was like, oh, I hate these kind of characters, and it was like Laura, Falk. It was like, I hate that they just start trying to fish for a hit for a big combo or something like that. And they're like, but I can't wait for Makoto to get added to Street Fighter 5.
Please tell me the whole thread was just confused, because I'm confused hearing that statement.
Where it was just like, I hate these characters that play exactly like Makoto, but I can't wait for Makoto to be added.
To me, Third Strike characters, when you look at the history behind Third Strike, that game was not enjoyed. It's a cult classic. When it came out, people were not fans of it. That whole sequence of games, the third generation, right? I really feel like it's like Smash Bros, where everyone's asking for Waluigi in Smash or Ridley, and the moment Ridley gets in Smash, you're not gonna play Ridley. You're not gonna play Banjo. You're gonna play Banjo the day he comes out, and then the moment somebody's tier list says Banjo is not above A tier, or at least B tier, high B tier, you're not gonna play them anymore. I feel like that's the same thing with Makoto. Unless Makoto is super cheap, like Third Strike cheap, where she has confirmed combos into stun that can lead to kills like Third Strike or some kind of 50-50 mix, then nobody's gonna want to play Makoto. And even then, I don't expect if Makoto can do that, the devs will make it easy enough for just everyone to do that day one. It'll probably be some lab time. So if any of these Third Strike characters come back and it requires labbing time post-release to find the good stuff, I think it'll be like Poison, where Poison's good and we acknowledge she's good, but I'm not gonna play Poison.
Yeah. So
who are your five? Who are your five though?
I think Elena might come back. Hopefully.
Nah, man, the Street Fighter 4 community hated her. The old guard hates Elena. They're gonna have flashbacks, dog. We can't have that.
Good.
Let Elena's V skill, even if she doesn't have healing at all in her kit, if Elena even says the word healing at all in her dialogue, if she does her V skill and it's just like she gets a buff, right? But she says healing, I feel like every person who's played Street Fighter 4 will just moan and groan at the same time. It'll be a giant disturbance in the force.
Good.
Echoing waves across the nation or the world just at the same time. All right, so Elena, who else?
I think Dudley's gonna show up.
Please no. Please
Oh,
no.
you
Save
don't want-
Dudley for Super. I've already said it, bro. Leave my characters that I want to come back for the next game. I don't want them in 5, yo. The game has had a good run. I'm not saying Street Fighter 5 is a dead game. I'm just saying clearly everyone's not playing it as much, given all the things that we've talked about this game had been said about this game left and right for the last 5 years. I think there's enough that you can Google about Street Fighter 5 to realize why I don't want them in this game. Not to say I don't love Dudley, not to say I don't love Sean, Elena, DJ. I don't even think DJ would come back in this game. But not feeling it, bro. If Dudley comes back, are you gonna try Dudley? Is that the question, or is it just for aesthetic?
Oh no, probably not.
Are you just trying to see Smug play Dudley?
Maybe.
Are you just trying to see Capcom Pro 2 Final where Smug is playing Dudley again instead of Balrog? or G.
I agree with Oro.
Yeah.
Um,
Like Oro and Sea Viper have been everywhere in the story up to this point.
I agree with Sea Viper, and then Rose has been hinted at too.
Yeah, that was the one I meant to say besides Makoto twice. Yeah.
Didn't we see Abel in the story mode?
Yeah, Abel in the actual CGI story mode is there. So
Like,
that's
yo,
the thing.
like,
He's infiltrated Shadaloo as like a guard or whatever.
and then DeCapre's been around. There's a lot of characters that are just like bending, like floating around fucking Street Fighter 5, like in the game. Like,
see, I think the problem with that, it's not even like a Street Fighter 5 issue. It's just back in the day, if this was an arcade game, right, and these were sprites, these characters would have been in the story or sprites in the background, and no one would have said anything like, "Oh shoot, they're back. That's cool." We wouldn't have said, "Oh, I can't wait for Street Fighter Alpha 3." Where they're no longer a background character, I can play them again. Some might, but if they didn't come back, it wouldn't have been such a big shocker. And I don't know why, but in Street Fighter 5, it's the same idea. It's the same vein. You're reusing the characters you've built lore for in this game, but it just makes sense to bring Oro back. Even though I know if this was Street Fighter 3 or Street Fighter 2, and Oro was a background character, I'd be like, okay, he had his time in the sun. It's time for these new characters to get some light. It's time for people to understand who Lucia is, or all these Final Fight characters are, or people to be reintroduced to Poison and how Poison has had a follow with Hugo before Third Strike or whatever. But we'll see. We'll see.
it's gonna be a.
Who do you not want to come back? What's one character you don't want to come back?
Oh, fuck.
Oh shoot! Actually, I want Dan to come back. Forget everyone I said. If Dan's not coming back, I'll be really surprised.
Character I don't want to come back.
If I could pick one, I don't want Dudley to come back. Save my boy Dudley for the next game.
Let's not bring back. I'm trying to think, man. What?
Come on, dog. Just throw out somebody you don't like. Is that? Come on, you got this.
I'm like really thinking about it, Liz. I feel like there's characters in the game now that I didn't want back. Like,
telling me you want Adon to come back? You want flipping another stupid one.
Hey man, Muay Thai, baby.
You want Hakan to come back? Is that what
Hell yeah. Give me Hakan, bro.
You don't want Hakan to come. Stop lying to yourself. Why? For reference, Hakan is a Turkish wrestler.
Hell yeah.
Wrestler, flipping.
Yeah, he's an oil wrestler. Yeah.
And golly, this man does not look human.
Honestly, I don't want Makoto back, if I'm being honest. That's probably the character I would choose.
No? You don't want to get mixed up by Makoto?
I ain't trying to deal with that shit online, bro.
Okay, let me put it this way, right? For everyone who's watching, if you are tired of fighting mindless players who like Button Master Kami or Brazilian Kens, or Laura players who think they're Idom Jr. on Wi-Fi, McDonald's Wi-Fi, you don't want Makoto back. No matter how much you think you're a Third Strike fan, you don't want her back. Because if she's even remotely good like Laura with her buttons or her like fake pressure, you're going to break your controller. I'm saving you however much money it costs for you to replace your expensive controller. I'm assuming you have a custom controller. Don't do it. Don't ask for anything, especially don't ask for Makoto, because you're gonna have a bad time. I'm saving your boy Breezy is looking out for you. I'm just telling you right now.
You think Gen will show back up?
Nah, I thought Gen was supposed to be dead though.
Is he? Isn't he?
Yeah, because like, well, he's getting old, and I thought it was one of those things, one of his plot devices with like he's sickly or whatever, or just he should be broken pretty soon.
Did he die in Street Fighter 4?
I don't think so, because 4 is post 5 is post 4, and I want to say he fights Akuma in his story, but I don't remember if that's a flashback in Akuma's story or is that just Gen clashing with
Well,
the
I
Raging
get this
Demon.
says he shows up in Akuma's story in Street
Yeah,
Fighter
he
5.
shows up in Akuma's story, and Gen clashes with Akuma when he does the Raging Demon, and Gen doesn't die. But then, like, Akuma makes a comment, and I want to say that something along the lines of like, well, he'll croak eventually. Let me peace out. Either way, this game has, I think we talked about this before we did the podcast episode. Out of all the characters that could come back, there's an archetype that we think we need to fill in, and that's actual grapplers. So Hugo.
Well, I thought more about it. I was like,
logistically-
you know, Mika's a grappler.
Mhm.
Laura, kind of.
Mhm.
That's really it. Besides Geef.
So in that case, what about a more powerful zoner? Because the only zoners we really have are like Bulk in this game.
Well,
Like you are just meant to be a zoner.
I think we
you have
have
people who
others.
can zone.
Manat.
Manat, yeah. Manat fell off hard though. I remember when Manat was.
Sagat
as high up there
can
as-
zone, of course.
So, yeah, that's true. That's true. So we got 3 and 3.
Depending on how you play Ryu.
Do we need more Shotos? Because the only good Shoto right now is Akuma. Sakura is mid, and Ken is like, you have to be a Ken specialist. And
You have to
Ryu
be an
is-
online Brazilian player.
You have to be an online Brazilian player for Ken to work. And Ryu is, you're a fundamentalist or you are just new to Street Fighter. You're either a godlike online Ken who doesn't leave your house, or
What would you think of Guy coming back?
Guy? I expected you to bring up Guy earlier. I think Guy could come back. I definitely expect it to be someone who has ties to Cody. The more we talk about Mike Hagar, I don't think it'll be Mike, but I do expect it to be someone else who's Final Fight related, because we practically had a Final Fight season with Abigail, Lucia coming through, and Poison. So I think at this point we might as well just keep progressing. If anything, just see, are there any other Capcom universes that we want to introduce into the Street Fighter world? Because we've already established, okay, Final Fight and Street Fighter, literally the same planet. Everything that's canon in that universe is canon here. So how much else can we cram in here?
This is a callback to an old video, but give me back Darkwing Duck.
All right, move on the next topic. This is our nope. Next topic.
Darkwing Duck, baby.
Why do you say these things? Nobody's good. The only reason Darkwing Duck would be here, all right, and I'm gonna put a pin in this, right, is because I just want to sing this theme song and then just, get the part where we say let's get dangerous, and then that's it. That is. I would just want Darkwing Duck in the game so I can go into training mode and legally be allowed to play his theme song while I'm in the lab. That is it. That is the only perk you get from Darkwing Duck. All right. So the next console launch is on the horizon, and
we've got some news from Sony about controllers, legacy controllers, accessories. They have said that a PlayStation 4 controller will work on the PS5, but only for PS4 games, not PS5 games. And that fight sticks and like flight sticks, there's some other things in that list as well. Should all work with PS5 games. Obviously, probably it's just as long as they update the drivers. Which is a good sign for us. That means we don't have to go out and buy new sticks or hitboxes, etc. But for some reason, there's just people upset that they're not able to play PS5 games with their PS4 controller. And some of them are going, well, I don't want to buy a PS5 controller. Well, motherfucker, you're gonna get one when you buy the console.
Who said that?
Bro, so I linked a tweet in Discord.
Uh-huh.
Because I was talking to Alex about it. If you go scroll through general on the other Discord, me and Alex were talking about it for a minute, or in
oh yeah, I did see that. Yeah.
But it was like, What the fuck? Well, let me bring up the tweet and just read some of these comments. So the tweet is Sony announces DualShock 4 controllers will work with the PS5 but not PS5 games. So let me read some of these just for context. Let's see. Then what's the point of even let it connect to the PS5 in the first place? I'm curious how the PS4 fanboys will spin this one. We don't really have to spin anything because you could just use the PS5 controller, you fucking dumbass. Like,
again, the only perk I will give these guys is if the PS5 controller is really bad when it comes to ergonomics or just sucks. If the PS5 controller regresses to that of the DualShock 3, then that's a valid point. But if the controller has improved or has maintained quality, I see no need to use your DualShock 4. Only if you're a hardcore gamer and you need like 5 PS4 controllers in the background for your PS5, just in case you want to spike one. Or you're trying to reuse them for the sake of multiplayer games because you don't want to go out and buy another $60 plus controller, which I understand. But that's just life as a gamer at this point. Controllers are expensive. We have to acknowledge this. That's a bigger problem.
But yeah, there were just some. It's been covered up now because more people have been commenting on it that are kind of like okay and like like kind of just shitting on people that were like confused about this for some reason. But it's just like, what the fuck is going on, man? Like, why are y'all upset about this? They're like, but why? Why is that an issue? Like, that you can't use your PS4 controller?
I'm trying to think, what game were they already planning on playing?
And it's like, I see some people like clearly who didn't read the fucking thing saying, oh, but what about, so my fight stick won't work, or, you know, etc. Oh, this sucks for like fighting game players. It's like, well, if you read the thing, it says that we're still good, bro. We chilling.
Just update your drivers. Just go to how to update my fight stick in the Google.
Because basically what I'm assuming is Sony's going to go, hey, Mad Catz, Hori, Hitbox, here are the drivers for the PS5.
Yeah, here you go, Brooke. Here's just, you know, put that on your website. We're good.
All that has to happen is your people got to download it. We're good to go. But we're just not going to do it for our PS4 controller. Because when you're playing a fighting game, you're not going to use the new shit that are in this PS5 controller. It makes sense. You know, they got the whole new trigger thing with like changing the pressure of the triggers, like how much pressure you need to put on it. Which is a good idea. You know, me and Alex talk about that. Like, really helps pad players and racers.
Oh shoot, yeah.
You know, we can actually not slam on the brakes anymore. You know, we can actually not just immediately go pedal to the metal on the throttle. You know, we can actually, granted, you can not do that. Like, you can be precise, but it's not easy. It takes a lot of practice. This just makes it a whole lot easier for us. That's why, like, everyone's like, oh, you know, it's just so much easier to get, you know, pedal and wheels. You know, we can be precise with the pedals. You know, it's precise with the steering. Easy day. Well, now we can be precise with our pedals, being at the triggers.
Is the share button confirmed to come back on the DualShock 5? I can't remember that part.
Check. I had a picture of it here a second ago. And it's the DualSense, not the DualShock 5. Thank you very much.
Okay. All right, man. Hey man, it's still gonna cost twice as much to buy a new one. So.
But yeah, us fighting game fans are big chillin', and people are upset for some reason. That, you know, they can't use an old controller on a new system, even though they kind of can. It just won't be for their new games.
Yeah, again, to me, right, you've already been reassured by the phrasing of that you're gonna get to have some form of backwards compatibility, whether it's certain games are allowed to be played or digital copies in the store. and we will support those games not only with just re-releasing them or letting you re-download them, but you can use legacy hardware for them. To me, you got to look at it as a Nintendo thing, which because it's Sony, they're not thinking of it that way. But if it was Nintendo, you're allowed to use the Wiimote for a Wii game. But why would you use the Wiimote for this game where we wanted you to use the Wii Pad or the Wii U touchpad, right? This is meant for the touchpad. Use the touchpad because this has things that the Wiimote does not have. I just think that makes sense only if the developer takes full use of the DualSense controller features, because that could backfire and the devs don't actually use the controllers to the best of their ability, and it's just a white DualShock 4. But well, again, this is all hypothetical, up in the air, so we're just gonna have to see how devs handle it going forward and how consumers handle it, and hopefully everything will work out and you all don't have to spend a ridiculous amount of money on these controllers. I hope controller prices can actually go down in the future. That'd be nice.
So someone said that the share button is gone, by the way. I don't know what
goodness.
it doesn't say what this button is. I don't think we've been told
hate
yet.
The share button, Doug. Like I don't want to. Well, hate's a stronger. I very much dislike the share button, Doug. It works for people who want it, but I feel like it's too much of a niche. If you want a share button for yourself, I think that's cool. You could program a share button on your controller, but I think just another assignable button for a dev or like an actual select button would be nice. Or I guess we have options as the select instead of start, but to me, I feel like when we have touchpad, the home button, the options button, the share button, too many times do I play a game and the functionality of these things is implied for like 3 games in a row. It's the same. Like, okay, touchpad is basically the start button, or options is the start button for like 3 games. And then other games, it's like, no, it's the opposite now. Home does something different. We have haptic feedback on the touchpad, so you can't use that. So I just would prefer another dedicated non-share button where devs can just go, okay, we can put all the functionality on this. That's also another button I can use on my fight stick. That's not gonna get me DQ'd. You know, I'd appreciate.
Yeah, that's true.
Because legit, there are sometimes I wish I had more buttons on my fight stick, and I'm just like, it's not enough because share button is pretty much taking away a button for me, and I've never used it. If you are a content creator or someone who's really trying to push content onto social media or whatever, you probably already have a capture card or use other means to stream footage or release them on Twitter. I don't know too many people who will legitimately go like, oh, that was hype. Let me hit the share button on my PS4, take a screenshot of this and post it on Twitter. I don't know anyone who does that personally. If that's you, power to you, man. Leave a comment down there or leave a dislike if that's the case, because I don't believe you exist.
So another thing that happened today with Sony. They were in the drama today, weren't they?
Man.
So it got announced that the Marvel Avenger game, made by Square Enix, is going to have a console-exclusive character on PlayStation. Lee, can you guess which console-exclusive character this character is going to be? It's
Spider-Man?
Yes.
Is it? Oh, shoot.
Spider-Man is going to be in Marvel's Avengers, but is only going to be available for free on PlayStation. Obviously, this had a lot of people upset. Those people being PC and Xbox players.
So wait, can you not even purchase Spider-Man? Is that the key point? Or like you have to purchase Spider-Man on PlayStation?
As far as we know, Spider-Man isn't even available on Xbox and PC. It's just he is available on PlayStation for free. Now, this brings the discussion of how do you feel about exclusive? Let's see. How do you feel about exclusive content on what am I trying to say?
It's just like a per console basis.
Yeah, exclusive content per console.
Again.
So like
cool.
Spider-Man is only on PlayStation.
Mm-hmm.
For non-exclusive games, I should add. Of course.
Yes. Yeah. So it's a multi-platform game.
A multi-platform game, but like this character is only on PlayStation, or this character is only on Xbox. So other examples being in Soul Calibur 2, you had Link on when it was on
GameCube.
On GameCube. You had Spawn on the Xbox and Heihachi on the PS2. And then even later, Soul Calibur 4, you had Yoda on the 360, Darth Vader on the PS3.
Yep.
How do you feel about character exclusive stuff, I guess? Or like a character exclusive for a non-exclusive game?
One, it ruins fighting game tournaments for me, so that's nice. But
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
That is an easy argument for when it's a fighting game. It's fucking stupid.
It's like you've literally ruined.
You've ruined the competitive scene.
Well, shoot, Yoda's S tier, and everyone owns an Xbox in this venue.
Yeah. So like,
PS3
the only thing is, is that everyone plays on 360, and I'm a Vader main.
Well, sorry, buddy, we can't have you play in this tournament. Why? You're boycotted. There's no PS3s in this venue. But besides that point, because that's our niche, well, but also a very big part of our channel, so it sucks to suck. But we come from a generation where that was accepted because that's a part of gaming where I'm okay with that. But it's only okay to me if every console got something different. If every console got a character that makes sense and every character was polished to the same degree, and it's not like Spider-Man is literally the greatest character in the game and the other two exclusives are like trash, or you don't unlock them till the end of the game and you can't play them, that to me, no one's getting equal content for their purchase. That's not fair.
Well, I said, because me and Alex talked about this as well, along with the previous topic. Let me see what I said, just so I can remember for sure. So I said that where's it at actually? What the fuck? Oh, there it is. Obviously, I don't think it should be a thing. I think each console should be given the same thing. I understand maybe a timed exclusive I'd be fine with.
Yeah.
That's, we've seen that happen plenty of times with content. Call of Duty does it every fucking year. Or at least they used to. I don't know if they still do it now. But it was, at first, when I first was playing Call of Duty, it was, Xbox gets, the new fucking expansion. Not expansion. What's it called? It's not expansion, but, the new update, I guess.
Yeah.
The new season. Whatever it was called back then. Either way, you know what I'm talking about. They get the new update, 2 weeks, a week early. And then eventually it switched. PlayStation gets the new update a week early. So like, okay, yeah, that's fine. I don't care. I'm not gonna freak out and go, I gotta buy a fucking Xbox so I can get this new Call of Duty update a week early. Like, I'm not gonna do that shit. Did it feel nice when it went to PlayStation?
Which is sad, but
did it feel nice when it finally happened with PlayStation? Yes, it did. But I digress. But I don't think it should be happening. I think it's kind of shitty. I think if you are gonna do it, I agree that the other console or consoles should also be getting a free character. But I think there should be a way of the other consoles accessing the exclusive character. So
like,
if you're gonna go, Spider-Man is free on PlayStation, but then we'll say random Marvel hero Blade is free on Xbox.
Yeah,
but on PlayStation, there is a way in game for you to unlock Blade. On Xbox, there's a way in game for you to unlock Spider-Man.
Like, the way I look at it is, okay,
obviously it won't happen that way.
Yeah. Like, if let's say the Steam version, right? Blade and Spider-Man, you can play as them, but it's like New Game Plus or like near the end of the game because that's when you unlock them normally. But because of the exclusive deal, you can play as Spider-Man from level 1 if you chose. To me, that in a perfect world is how I would execute it. But
obviously, in today's society, it will be behind a paywall.
Yeah.
With just how game companies are nowadays, unfortunately. It would be, you gotta pay $5 to get Spider-Man on your Xbox. Like, that's what it's gonna be. If that's even what they decide to do. And it might, be shitty for Xbox players and PC players where they just don't get to have Spider-Man. Honestly, I think it's something we probably should have seen coming. If I'm being honest,
Like, it's one of those things. I think we all deep down knew it was going to happen. We just didn't want to believe it would, and we didn't know who would be. We never knew who would be the first one to pull the trigger, because all it takes is 2 companies to do this, and then it's like, okay, the rest of the community is gonna go, well, shoot, those 3 developers got $1 billion extra off of this game because of all these microtransactions or other things they use to milk money out of players that we chose not to do. Forget the integrity. That's $1 billion, bro.
Once I saw on Twitter, it was like, oh, Spider-Man is gonna be a PlayStation exclusive for Marvel's Spider-Man or for Marvel's Avengers. I was like, yeah, we should have seen that one coming. We should have seen the Sony property. I think he is now. I don't know if they just have movie rights or if they have all non-comic media rights. I honestly don't remember what the fucking deal is.
They made a long story short is Sony doesn't own literally everything about Spider-Man. They only own certain aspects.
I don't know if
character.
I know they for sure have movie rights, for sure. I don't remember if they have video game rights, but I think they might.
I know Disney owns toys and merch, which is why they weren't tripping about Fantastic Four and stuff like that.
So let's see. I'm a
because that's why when but was it Universal? Was it Universal that had Fantastic Four, and that's why? But Disney still got the merch right?
No, Fox had Fantastic Four.
Okay.
What does Sony own of Spider-Man? Sony owns all the rights to Spider-Man, which explains why all the games are on PlayStation. There we go. So yeah, it really makes sense. It was Sony's fucking call. They probably went to Square and said, hey, we want to put Spider-Man in the game, but only for PlayStation. And Square said, okay. We know it's going to sell more copies on PlayStation, so fuck it. And that explains why it's not on any other console. So yeah, we really should have seen this coming, if I'm being honest. But here we are.
To me, it's the same thing with the Japanese roundtable with the whole AI conversation in the fight. It's the same type of problem. It's developers trying to solve a problem with an older solution, or you're not getting to the root of the problem.
That whole AI thing, I think it was them trying to solve a non-existent problem with a non-existent solution.
Yeah, like you're making more problems for something. You just need to make better tutorials. Make more in-depth tutorials, or add a better progression curve.
You're creating problems to solve a non-existent problem.
Yeah. And then with the Spider-Man thing, it's like that is a way to make money. Yes, you can very much make money, but there are possibly other avenues that aren't as dated as exclusive characters that can get you more money. I'm not gonna be able to think of a great system off the top of my head, but I feel like there's more ways to milk money out of gamers than just say Spider-Man's behind a paywall.
Really thinking about it, I really think this is the first time we've had an exclusive character since, like, for a console, for a non-exclusive game, since Soul Calibur 4. I can't think of any other game since Soul Calibur 4 that has done this.
This is a pretty big moment then, because if that's the case, this is one of those times where if this works and it makes so much more money because of it, the company's not going to stop there. They're not going to go like, well, we got a lot of bad PR for like 6 months on Twitter, but like, who listens to Twitter anyway, guys? Like, we made like literally a third of the price of the game off of how many people bought the Spider-Man DLC. Or whatever,
obviously,
or
anyone
bought a PlayStation copy.
Anyone listening that can think of a game that has, exclusive characters for a console,
yeah,
let us know.
Feel free to comment that.
The last one I can think of is Soul Calibur 4. Which
to me, it's an old practice that is dated. If it should work in a modern sense, that business model has to be adapted to make it a lot better of a transition for players. It should just be as easy as saying, okay, I'm gonna buy the PS4 version instead of the Steam version, but I think you need more incentive besides just Spider-Man. Spider-Man is cool, but Spider-Man's gonna lead to people just moaning and then buying Spider-Man. You want people to be like, yeah, I got Spider-Man. Boy, do I love my PlayStation. Not, yeah, I got Spider-Man. Boy, do I hate PlayStation for making me choose the PlayStation version. Even though I was going to buy it, I was just thinking about getting the Steam version. I wasn't really serious about getting the Steam version, or I was probably going to pick up the Steam version later. So it's a catch-22. Just like the Japanese roundtable, this is going to be one of those. We'll have to wait and see how this unfolds. So maybe we'll do like a follow-up on this or something if we remember. But I'm trying to see either if this is going to be a Joker, we see the world burn, or is this just going to be everyone's content with it, and who's the next company to then follow suit? Because if there's no backlash or reason to have a backlash, it's gonna repeat. It's like loot box. It literally is like loot boxes, where this is a thing that if a company makes a decent profit margin off of it, there's no reason not to do it again. There are more people involved in making and publishing a game than just people who code games or do art for games. It is a lot of business people and hands in here. So good luck with that.
Yeah.
Speaking of other big businesses,
yeah.
Cool businesses,
So
bro.
we got linked a tweet by one of our friends a little bit, like probably like an hour or two before we started recording. A tweet from the GOAT gaming journalist Rod Slasher Breslau about a studio I feel like a lot of us hold near and dear to our heart, even though at a point we probably should stop, if I'm being honest. Blizzard Entertainment, Activision Blizzard. That their employees are, as the tweet says, revolting over wage disparities at the company. I guess they've kind of realized that they get paid pretty shit compared to other, big game developer companies. It cites Riot, that they leave and they get a significant pay increase when they go to Riot. Obviously, this is a developing story. This is kind of something that is just now starting, so we unfortunately don't have a lot of news about it. If you want to read more, just go to Slasher's Twitter page. He has a link to a Bloomberg article. I keep hitting my mic with my headset, dude. It's so... I'm so not used to this mic. But yeah, it's something that, I think we should keep our eyes on. It says that there's like a quote from, or not a quote, but one veteran Blizzard employee told Bloomberg News they received a raise of less than 50 cents an hour every year. They're making less now than they did almost a decade ago because they're working fewer overtime hours than they did back then. Several former Blizzard employees said they only received a significant pay increase after leaving for other companies such as nearby rival Riot Games Incorporated. I mean, I think we've all kind of known that Blizzard has some skeletons in the closet.
Like, just Blizzard, this is a big gaming industry issue now. That's why we see indie development be such a... indie development went from being a... That can't possibly work to like, oh, that's the dream job. To like,
I'm not saying it doesn't exist throughout the gaming development industry. I think it's just...
I'm just saying that's why I'm not surprised.
There's basically a lot of... It's just... It always seems like every time something happens, it's Blizzard. Or at least Blizzard's
either it's Blizzard or he's involved. Or they're involved, yeah.
Like, every time, like, oh, this game company is doing this, it's always Blizzard. And it's always a negative thing.
It's like when the someone gets into the principal's office, it's always a group of kids, but Blizzard is in that group of kids.
Yeah, Blizzard is in the group.
Like a fight happened on the playground, Blizzard is involved somehow, even though like Blizzard shouldn't be.
It's like, one of those things where it's like I said, we all have like a soft spot in our heart for Blizzard to an extent. Mm-hmm. Whether you played WoW, StarCraft, Diablo, etc. Mm-hmm. For the new kids on the block, Overwatch. We all have like that soft spot, but it's like at a point you're like, come on, Blizzard. Like, come on, like, man.
It's honestly one of those. Oh my goodness.
But they're saying like, I guess employees put together a spreadsheet to share pay salaries with each other, where they all notice that they're getting paid pretty bad. Meanwhile, the CEO is making like 30 million a year. Like, unfortunately, the spreadsheet was not released, as far as I know. But yeah, obviously, you know, the more we see from the story, we'll update you guys. Maybe, you know, next podcast in 2 weeks we might have a little bit more of this. But it, you know, it just sucks.
I don't know, we'll be lucky if our internet's back up in 2 weeks, bro. This hurricane messing around outside, dog.
Hey man, it's only supposed to hit. It's only supposed to hit like tonight through tomorrow.
No, it's hit this house outside my window right now. I'm worried about to cut out when we sign up. Like, I'm looking outside right now. Looking outside. I'm like, yo, blizzard's coming for me, cause that don't sound like no regular weather.
But that's
anyway,
really,
Blizzard do better. Do better.
Yeah, Blizzard do better.
Treat people better. Treat them like people. Cause boy, howdy, you're not helping. You're really not helping the game industry right now with this.
Obviously, I think for for legal sake, I don't think we have proof of these pay discrepancies or disparities.
Yeah. No physical evidence. Is on
there's
the
no
table,
evidence.
Evidence.zip does exist.
But people have evidence.zips. We haven't seen it, so I'm not saying Blizzard's doing it, but it's looking like it.
There are, like, just like the Evo episode, there are very strong allegations that we have reason to believe.
Yeah.
And we'll leave it at that.
There,
make your own interpretation of the story going further.
When Slasher's linking fucking Bloomberg articles and shit,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
seems like it's real.
This Breezy brief episode, though.
Yeah. Let us know, your thoughts on all these different topics we had. What your thoughts are on console exclusive characters. That's finally like the word I was looking for.
Yeah.
It only took me the 20 minutes later, but
Hey man. Thanks for the content. That gave us extra content. Thank you.
Let us know your Street Fighter predictions. This will go up right when the Street Fighter show starts. So let us know if you were right, I guess.
Yo, Tom Comment's just gonna be the kid that saw the broadcast and came here and just typed it and gets a bazillion thumbs. As a matter of fact, if a kid comes in here and does that, I'm just gonna thumbs up their comment. If you saw the broadcast or you know who came out and you came back, watch this podcast and know who it is, I'll thumbs up your comment. That's on me. You get a free thumbs up.
Let us know your thoughts on the Japanese developer roundtable. The stuff going on with Blizzard. Your thoughts on the Second King, Leo coming back, or Nagori Yuki.
Yuki.
Let us know if you're upset that you have to get a new controller that you get with the console.
You don't even have to. It's a choice. It's literally a choice. We're capitalists out here, right? It's
But fuck Jesus Christ, dude. I keep hitting the mic.
Alright. Kachana's having a meltdown. Thank you for watching, everybody. Peace.